Let's go back to the year 2000. The internet is young. Chat rooms are the hottest thing since sliced bread, and Yahoo has a huge problem. Bots, thousands of them, flooding chat rooms, spamming links, stuffing ballot boxes in online polls, signing up for free email accounts by the millions to blast out spam. The internet needed a bouncer, something that could stand at the door and ask one simple question. Are you a human or a script pretending to be one? So, over at Carnegie Mellon University, a computer scientist named Luis von Ahn, along with a small team, built exactly that. They called it a CAPTCHA. It's a mouthful, but the idea was beautifully simple. Take a task that's trivial for a human brain and nearly impossible for a computer. Back then, that meant reading distorted squiggly text. Humans could do it instantly. Computers, at the time, could not. Problem solved. Bots blocked. Everyone moves on with their lives, except that's not where this story ends. That's just where it starts. Here's the question nobody was asking in the early 2000s. Every day, humans were solving hundreds of millions of these little puzzles. 2 words, 10 seconds each, gone forever the moment you hit submit. That's not just security. That's an unbelievable amount of human brain power being burned for nothing. And Luis von Ahn, the same guy who invented CAPTCHA, looked at that and thought something most people never would have thought. What if we're wasting this? At the exact same time, there was a completely unrelated problem happening in libraries and newspaper archives around the world. Organizations like the New York Times were trying to digitize millions of old books and newspapers, scanning every page so it could be searchable online. The tool they used to do this was called OCR, Optical Character Recognition. Basically, software that reads a scanned page and turns it into real text. The problem? OCR is bad at reading old, faded, damaged text. Ink smudges, torn pages, weird old fonts. Computers choke on it constantly. So here's the move that changed everything. In 2007, von Ahn launched something called reCAPTCHA. Instead of just showing you one randomly generated squiggly word, reCAPTCHA showed you 2 words. One was the normal security check, but the other one? That word was pulled directly from a real scanned book, a word the computer couldn't read. You didn't know which was which, you just typed both in and hit submit. But every time you did that, you weren't just proving you were human, you were digitizing human history for free. In 2009, Google bought reCAPTCHA. And this is where the story stops being about old books and starts being about something much bigger. Because Google didn't just want to digitize newspapers, Google had a new problem, a much more valuable one. At the time, Google was sending cars around the entire planet for Google Street View. Cameras strapped to the roof, driving down every street on Earth, taking pictures of everything. But all those photos were useless unless Google could actually read what was in them. Street numbers, addresses, signs. So the CAPTCHA changed again. Suddenly you weren't typing squiggly text anymore, you were typing house numbers straight off real photos taken by Google Street View cars. Every time you solved one, you were helping Google map the entire physical world, address by address. And once that worked, Google realized this trick could do so much more than read numbers. That's when CAPTCHA evolved again into the version you probably know best. Click every square with a traffic light, click every square with a bicycle, click every square with a crosswalk. Now think about why Google would possibly need millions of people to label traffic lights and crosswalks and street signs and cars. Self-driving cars. That's not a guess. Google's self-driving car project, which became Waymo, needed enormous amounts of labeled image data to teach its AI what a stop sign looks like, what a pedestrian looks like, what a crosswalk looks like, in every lighting condition, every angle, every weather condition imaginable. And instead of paying thousands of workers to sit and label those images one by one, they just handed the job to you for free. Disguised as a security check you had to pass to leave a comment or make an account. You have personally helped train the AI that powers self-driving cars, possibly hundreds of times, and you never got a single notification telling you that. Now, here's where it gets almost funny. Around 2014, Google rolled out something new, the I'm not a robot checkbox. No blurry text, no traffic lights, just one click. And suddenly, most of the time, that's all it took. People assumed the system got lazier. It actually got smarter and sneakier. Because the second you land on that page, Google isn't just watching whether you clicked the box, it's watching everything leading up to it. How your mouse moved across the screen, whether it moved in smooth human curves or robotic straight lines, your typing rhythm, your scroll behavior. Even things like your browser history and cookies tracked quietly in the background, building an invisible trust score before you even touch the page. If that score is high enough, click the box, you're in. No puzzle needed. If it's not, that's when the traffic lights show up. The checkbox isn't the test. The checkbox is the reward for already passing a test you didn't know was happening. You're not proving you're human anymore. You're being profiled to prove it, silently, in the background, the entire time. And here's the twist inside the twist. The very same AI that CAPTCHA helped train is now good enough to solve most CAPTCHAs itself. Studies and security researchers have shown modern AI models solving image-based CAPTCHAs with better accuracy than actual humans. Think about that for a second. We spent 2 decades training machines to see the world through crosswalks and traffic lights and street signs, and now those same machines can pass the very test that was supposed to keep them out. The wall we built to keep bots out became the training data that taught the bots how to climb over it. So let's zoom out, because this isn't really a story about a login screen. This is a story about something economists now have a name for: invisible labor, or sometimes human-in-the-loop data work. Billions of people all over the world doing tiny fragments of unpaid work for enormous companies and never realizing it because it's disguised as friction, as a small, annoying step between you and the thing you actually wanted to do. Nobody sat you down and said, "Hey, want to help train a self-driving car for 10 seconds, unpaid?" You would have said no, or at least you would have asked questions. But dressed up as a security check? You just did it. Billions of times over. That's the real reason CAPTCHA exists. If you learned something new today, that's really all I'm trying to do here. So hit like, subscribe, and send this to one person who still thinks CAPTCHA is just there to stop bots. That's genuinely the best way to help this channel grow. I'll see you in the next one.